We're on Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph, 4 lines up before the end of the Amud, and we're back to the Seder HaMaracha of Abaye. Abaye says, "V'dishun hamizbeach hapnimi kodem latovas chamesh neros," and we said that the process of dishun hamizbeach is broken into two, with the Ketores wedging between. So first, we're going to start with Dishon HaMizbeach. And that means that we have to clean out the ashes from the Mizbeach HaChitzon. The Mizbeach HaPnimi, I mean to say, in order to facilitate the Hadlokas HaNeros in the Heichal, right? The Shulchan, the menorah was in the Heichal, the Hadlaka was in the Heichal, and we needed a twofold process. First of all, we have to clear off the Mizbeach HaPnimi, and that's because we finished the Avoda on the Mizbeach, and then we're going to get right to the menorah. We're going to be ready for Hatovas Chamesh Neros. My timer, is there a source for this halacha? Abaye Gemara Gmiralon. This is something that I received from my Rebbeim. It's halacha L'Moshe Misinai, but Svara Lo Yadan. I can't explain the logic of it. And Rava, based on Reish Lakish, is now going to take a shot at trying to explain the logic of Dishon Mizbeach HaPnimi first, and then Hatovas HaNeros. Rav Amar Kireish Lakish, the Amar Reish Lakish, Ein Mavirin Ala Mitzvahs. In other words, if a person's involved in a mitzvah, he should continue in that mitzvah, and he should not drop it for the sake of another mitzvah, even though he's doing it for the sake of another mitzvah, but ein mavirin al mitzvahs. Don't give up on one mitzvah in order to begin another mitzvah. You have a mitzvah now, it's biyadcha, it's accessible, fulfill that mitzvah now, and then you worry about the other mitzvah later on down the line. Now this halach of ein mavirin al mitzvahs is derived from the parsha of matzos, but we're going to rewrite the word in the Torah. The Torah says in Parshas Bo, of course, "Ushmartem es hamatzos," but we're not going to read it as matzos because in Torah Shebal Peh we change the vocalization, and we're going to read it as mitzvos. What we do is we take the pasach under the mem of matzah, we take the cholam that follows the tzadi, and we change it to a chirik under the mem and a shva under the tzadi, and it becomes ushmatam es ha-mitzvos. Again, because the matzah becomes a mitzvah. And mikan, the Gemara says, ein machmitzin es ha-mitzvahs. Just like we're not machametz matzah, we cannot let it lying around because then it'll leaven. You'll have leavened bread, and it won't be matzah. So too, you cannot delay a mitzvah and postpone it. Ein machmitzin es ha-mitzvahs. Ela ba mitzvah yodcha aseo sa miyad. Don't delay. Take your first opportune moment and fulfill the mitzvah. Now, this is very relevant. Very often, you want to postpone a mitzvah, maybe for a good reason, but don't miss the boat. Meaning, now you have an opportunity to do the mitzvah. Don't delay. The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, "Shemalo tekayim." Maybe you'll never fulfill that mitzvah. Person says, Eshne, my perek zeh, maybe tomorrow I'll get around to learn a perek. No, don't say tomorrow you'll get around to it. Ein machmitzin as mitzvahs. Fulfill it today without delay. Don't procrastinate. You never know what's going to happen between now and tomorrow. And at this point, we can turn to Daf Lamed Gimel Amid Beis. Now, v'chi ayel lehechal. How do we apply this principle of ein mavirin al mitzvahs in our context? Ayel means to go up. Lehechal, he goes up to the hechal. The hechal is higher topographically than the azara. So he climbs up to the hechal. The mizbeach paga bereisha. When he walks into the hechal, the first thing he encounters is the mizbeach. And it means that although he's on his way west, going inside the hechal, further and further deeper in, to arrive at the menorah for purposes of Hatovas Haneros, nevertheless, he's passing by the Mizbeach, because the Mizbeach is more to the east and the menorah is more to the west. He should not pass over the Mizbeach without being Midasha in Etzah Mizbeach, because Dichin Mizbeach is a mitzvah. Paga Berecha, the first thing he encounters immediately when he enters into the Heichal is going to be the Mizbeach before he gets to the menorah. The Sanya, we learned in the Brisa, Shulchan. Where is the Shulchan in the Heichal? It's B'tzafon. Tzafon meaning on the right side. Mashuch min hakosel shtei amos umechza. The Shulchan, which we said is in the northern side of the Heichal, towards the right, is separated from the northern wall of the Kodesh Kadoshim by 2.5 amos. Menorah, Bidarim. This we know. The menorah always has to be on the south side, turning towards the left. And Meshuchim and Akosel, Shtei Amos Umechza. Likewise, like we said about the Mizbeach, about the Shulchan, we need a distance of 2.5 amma from the Kosa. In this case, from the southern Kosa. Where is the Mizbeach? Talking about the Mizbeach HaPnimi in the Heichal. It's Memuta. It's right there, equidistant from both the Shulchan and the Menorah. So if the Shulchan is in the north, the Menorah is in the south, midway between the two is where we set up the Mizbeach. So there's Mizbeach, turn to the right, and you have the Shulchan, turn to your left, and you have the menorah. And you and I know that on Ner Chanukah is to some extent a replacement for the Ner Shebemikdash, and therefore the halacha is that we light the Ner Chanukah on the south side, with Durham. Now, the menorah, the Mizbeach, as we said earlier, is closer to the entrance to the shar of the Heichal. it's not a straight line, meaning although we've got the shulchan to the right and the menorah to the left and the mizbeach in the middle, but it doesn't mean it's all one straight line. The mizbeach is a little bit mashuch, it's a little bit stretched out, so to speak, towards the entrance into the Heichal, towards the east. And that's called, in the language of the Gemara, mashuch klape chutz kima. In other words, the mizbeach is a little bit extended towards the entryway into the Heichal. Kima means a small amount. But since the mizbeach is mashuch, it's a little bit closer to the entryway of the Heichal. The first thing that you'll encounter when you get into the Heichal is going to be the shulchan. Is going to be the mizbeach. I'm sorry, I apologize. And therefore, right now, ein over ala mitzvahs. If he has an opportunity at this moment, says Rava, based on Reish Lakish, to be b'kayim the mitzvah of dichin mizbeach, and that's the first keli that he's encountering when he enters into the Heichal. That's what he has to do first, even before he gets to the menorah for Tovas Hanerus. So the Gemara says, wait a second. You sure you know exactly the location of the Mizbeach HaPnimi? V'nukmei lehadayu. Why shouldn't the Mizbeach HaPnimi be situated in one straight line with the Shulchan on its right, B'tzafon, and the menorah on its left, B'dara? And the Gemara answers, Kevan d'chsiv. In Shmos Perek Chaf Vav it says, V'es ha-menorah nochach ha-shulchan. It means that the menorah would be exactly opposite the shulchan. Menorah in the south and shulchan in the west. Now, I'm sorry, in the north. Now we have a problem, because the word nochach is not just a physical location in which two objects correspond, but moreover, it means that there's nothing in between them. When you say that X is nochach Y or Y is nochach X, what you're saying is that they see each other. It's like just like the kruvim see each other, so too the shulchan and the menorah see each other. So how do we solve the problem? If the mizbeach is in the middle, where's the nochach? And the answer is, es ha-menorah nochach ha-shulchan be'ina dechazu ha'adadi. They belong to one table. And the shulchan and the menorah see each other. Unless there's something between them that blocks that vision. How do we solve this problem? How do we guarantee that the shulchan and menorah should see each other? The answer is, when Moshe has a mizbeach, we pull the mizbeach a little bit towards the mizrach, meaning towards chutz leheichal. And now, at some point, if you're standing at the shulchan, you'll see the menorah, vice versa. Omar Rava, Shma Mina, Mida Reish Lakish, from this presentation of Reish Lakish, Abure Dra'a Atotefsa, which literally means, we're talking about the Tefillin Shal Yad, Lavar al Hazroa, Dainu liacher Tefillin Shal Yad, Kidei Laniach Tefillin Shal Rosh. Awesome. Now, this statement of Rava is giving us a little bit of a breath, a shas perspective on ein mavirin ala mitzvos. You have the zroa, the arm, and you have the head. On the zroa, you put the tefillin shel yad. On the head, you put the tefillin shel rosh. Why should I start with one or the other? I mean, in other words, which one should I start with? Our minig is to start with the left. And Rava says that's also an application of this rule of ein over an ala mitzvahs. And why is that so? Dibure dra atosefta. Ibure dra ato kefta. Read it right. He says that if you would skip the tefillin shel yad and immediately put on your tefillin shel rosh, you would be in violation of the rule of ein over an al mitzvahs, because he encounters his arm before he encounters his head. Why does the Gemara assume so? He says here in the name of the Beit Yosef, Kishepogea bitfilin shel yad tchila, osur la'aviro ulanicho shel rosh. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Why is it that if he puts on it shel rosh first, I mean, Tosus is bothered by a different kasha. He wants to know, why do we need ein over an al mitzvahs? The pasuk says, indicating that we start with the shel yad. Why do we bichlal need this ein over an al mitzvahs? But Tosus is not bothered by ein over an al mitzvahs. I'm going to have to figure this out. If anybody has any insight, I mean, let's say you're a righty, right? So you're picking up your tefillin in your right hand, and now you have two choices. You could either pick up the tefillin shel rosh, put it on your head, or your tefillin shel yad and put it on your arm. I don't know, where's the ein over al mitzvahs? Unless, again, if he has the two tefillin in front of him in a zekel or on a table, and he's got the tefillin shel yad here and the tefillin shel rosh there. Okay, fine. Then I understand ein over al mitzvahs, because you pogea first in the tefillin shel yad. But it seems like what's going on here is that he should dafka put the tefillin shel yad up front, or at least in a way that he doesn't have to be over on the tefillin shel rosh, and we dafka want him to put on tefillin shel yad first. And why? Because of ein over an al mitzvah. Again, I can give you another logical reason why the tefillin shel yad should go first, because the tefillin shel yad represents the heart of a person, the will of a person and his goals. Then you could get the intellect afterwards, But first, set your goals straight, your ratzon, your will. But ein over an al mitzvahs, that's a technical halach. Now here in the footnote, he quotes Tosis in the name of Rav Haigon, not here but in Menachos. That's where the Iker Sugya Tefillin is. And he says that one should be very careful when he puts his tefillin back in the tick, in his zekel. He should make sure that the shalrosh is inside, pnimi, and the shalyad is chitzoni. In other words, he'll have quick, easy access to the shalyad before he's even encountered the shalrosh. If, on the other hand, he doesn't do so, and he has the tefillin shalrosh on the outside, then tzarech lahavir ala mitzvahs. He would have to be in violation of overall mitzvahs if he wants to put the tefillin shalyad first. So in such a case, you have a battle between two principles. You have that came first. On the other hand, you have ein over al mitzvahs because he puts his tefillin sharash, which he shouldn't have done, on the tzad chitzoni, on the outside. He says, Yanichem, according to Rav Haigon, he should make it in such a way that tefillin shalyad you krovim elov, kidei sheyanichem tchila. Okay, that I understand. But the Gemara seems to say that ain't over an al mitzvahs, and therefore he should put on his tefillin shalyad first. Now, in this footnote, he quotes the Siach Yitzchak, who's very frequently quoted here, who says that in the statement of Reish Lakish that Rav is quoting, b'di'eved, iminiach shal rosh tefila, tzarich lechaltzem ulaniach shal yad. If he mistakenly put on his shalrosh first, Reish Lakish would require that you take off the shalrosh, put on the shalyad, and then put on the shalrosh a second time. And that's really way out. And I would have said that that's a case of a violation of ein over al mitzvahs. He's already got the shalrosh on his head. But the Siach Yitzchak learns that once we apply the principle of ein over al mitzvahs to give first preference to the shalyad, then there's no mitzvah to put on the shalrosh until you have the shalyad. I mean, it's pretty way out. And then finally, this is for tomorrow, hatovas chamesh neros kodem lidam hatomid. So now he went from the Mizbeach, where he did the Dichun, and he now encounters the Neros, the menorah, and he does the hatovas HaMenorah. And then he's going to get involved in the Dam HaTomid. And if I'm not mistaken, what Abai is telling us here is that he's got to go out of the Heichal in order to be Zorik the Dam HaTomid on the Mizbeach HaChitzon, and then he's got to go back into the Heichal to complete the process of Hatovas HaNeros, because he's only done 5 out of 7 Neros. He's going to have to come back for the last 2 Neros. Why is that so? Why does the Tamid, in this case, the Avodas HaTamid of Haktorah al Gabi Mizbech, why does that have to wedge and break up the continuity between the first part of Atovas Haneros and the last part of Atovas Haneros. Why not just, Ein Mavir al Mitzvahs, do the entire Atovas of Haneros from beginning to end, all 7 Neros? Why break it up and wedge it in between with the Avodas HaTamid, which is going to take place in the Mizbeach HaChitzon? He's going to have to leave the Heichal and then come back again to complete the process of Hatovas Haneros. So I'm leaving you in suspense because that's the issue that we'd like to address tomorrow. And then everyone should have a great day.